Before going ahead, I just want to say a big thank you to all of my Patreons and YouTube members, the people who support the show every single month and help me get new content out like this weekly. On top of that, all of my patrons and YouTube members get the chance to see all of these monthly exclusive Kickstarter videos, of which there are now 6. And if you fancy joining, then there will indeed be a link down below in the description. Thanks again for your support, but for now, let's get on with the video.
I wanna take you for a ride.
Not everything on Kickstarter is a scam. Oh, no. As stated, I've always been a big fan of the platform and normally have at least 3 or 4 things I'm personally backing. Sure, mishaps happen from time to time, but for the most part, I'd say, 80 to 90% of the time, they deliver. Sure, they deliver late almost every single time, that seems to be a given, but they do almost every time deliver. And out of all of the different topics I've covered on IndieGoGo, Kickstarter, and of course GoFundMe on this channel over the past several years, there's been one that you guys have been asking me to do for the longest time, and that is good campaigns. Sure, I can showcase to you campaigns such as Rain World and Saloon Tycoon, still 2 of my absolute favourites that I've ever personally backed, but something tells me you don't want that. Something, aka my analytics, tells me that whilst you sit on the loo and watch this video, you want drama. It's okay, nobody's watching you, or at least I hope nobody's watching you. You can admit it, there's nothing quite like some good old drama, is there? Well, today, after years of searching, I've actually managed to finally pull together 4 campaigns, all designed for the sole purpose to get revenge on someone. And get this, 3 of them are actually kind of good campaigns. I'll let you decide which one is which right now in 4 times Kickstarter was used for revenge. Welcome to Slope's Game Room. So, let's start off with these 2 individuals. The gentleman on the left is a guy called David Levitt, and the lady on the right, well, we'll get to her momentarily. David, in case you didn't know, is a pretty well-respected journalist, according to himself. An award-winning journalist with over 200,000 Twitter followers and 20,000 Instagram followers. I actually haven't read anything he's ever written himself, so take all of this with a huge grain of salt. What I'm more interested in for this video is his Twitter account, which is incredibly active. Well, back in January the 17th on 2020, he posted one of his more successful tweets that garnered him well over 30,000 responses. What was this tweet? Well, it was regarding this young lady, Tori, an employee at Target, and this is the photo of her that he took. You see, David, while shopping at Target, found himself a toothbrush for 1 cent. He thought he'd try his luck getting this electric toothbrush at the obviously way cheaper than RRP price, and Tori, who was serving him, refused to sell it at that price, explaining that the price was for the display and not the toothbrush itself. Now, looking back at the picture that David took, it does indeed state that the item for sale was indeed for the display, so he kind of didn't have a leg to stand on in the first place. In retaliation, he called the police to report the crime and tagged every major account he could to shame Target and to also shame Tori. And obviously he got absolutely destroyed with what looks like every single comeback. People were furious at not only David's pettiness, but also the fact that he's shaming a young Target worker who was literally just doing her job. He then of course attempted to play the victim card by claiming that he hasn't even been able to afford the dentist for over 3 years, and now he's got no choice but to take Target to court. It's a bit odd how he can afford the court fees but not the toothbrush, right? This of course was all crap anyway, as a tweet made less than a year ago was taken in the waiting room of a dentist. Anyway, the story absolutely blew up, news sites got hold of it, even news channels, which gained it even more attention, and then someone tweeted that a GoFundMe should be started to give Tori a much needed vacation, which is exactly what happened using the now popular hashtag send hashtag target Tori on a vacation. It needed $5,000 and it gained $34,930. Yes, this douche planned to shame this lass and the internet got revenge on him by sending her on a holiday of her dreams. How's that for a good campaign? So how am I supposed to do this segment without winding up the comment section? Because we're going to be talking about Donald Trump, the walk away movement, and Make America Great Again. Support who you want to support, believe in what you want to believe, and judge away. I don't think there's any way around this, guys. And don't you worry, I am going to end this segment as quick as possible. I'm not American, I'm not Larry Bundy Jr. too, by the way, guys, and I'm far away from being in the know when it comes to political arguments. But it is indeed, from where I'm standing, the public's perception that the majority of African Americans are not the biggest fans of Donald Trump. Now, where did I get this information from? Well, according to an NBC poll, he has a 14% approval rating with black voters, and yet another poll by Black PAC shows that 76% of black voters are completely dissatisfied with the overall direction of the country, 42% believe the economy is getting worse, and 77% believe he is a racist. Now that is a lot of numbers, and that's exactly what it is, right? Just a lot of numbers. The people that want to believe it are going to do so blindly, and everyone that doesn't believe it will do whatever they can to disprove it, you know, with fake news and God knows whatever else. Because when it comes to Donald Trump supporters, again, believe and agree with who and what you want, but those guys will indeed put their money where their mouths are to prove to the world that Trump is a good guy and far from any kind of a racist. Now that I've laid the groundwork and hopefully not offended anyone, let me introduce you to Kuran, a young African-American lady with a big old red Make America Great Again cap on. On October 27th, she tweeted this exact picture with the following text: "I will not hide any longer. The left has made us feel as if us black Republicans should hide, but not anymore. Hashtag blacks for Trump. Hashtag walk away, hashtag MAGA." And that's obviously Make America Great Again, guys. This tweet blew up big time, and a few days later, she posted again. "Thank you all so much for your overwhelming support. After seeing this tweet, my parents cut me off and refused to pay my university tuition. So if you can find it in your hearts to help this young black Republican pay for her school, it would be appreciated." She then put a link at the end of that tweet asking for money to help her do just that. "I'm now getting kicked out. My mother literally woke me up out of my sleep and screamed at me. How could you support this monster? She doesn't even know him, so how can he be a monster? Sad face. I just wish they understood." And another tweet showed what were text messages between her and her mum proving that she was getting kicked out of her home with some rather nasty language being used, and the daughter showing herself to be rather desperate. Obviously, the GoFundMe and Twitter itself blew up with people desperate to help this young African American, sending well wishes, and those Trump supporters retweeted the hell out of it, resulting in enough money to pay for her tuition, her rent, and a new iPhone 7. Now you're probably wondering why I'm not actually showcasing the GoFundMe itself. Well, it doesn't exist anymore. By this point, there is no proof on exactly how much she made. We've only got her tweets to go on, including this one. "Trump is a racist, homophobic, transphobic bigot, and you think my black ass would support that rotting carrot? Ridiculous. Any black person can put on that ugly ass hat and say hashtag MAGA and you'll instantly be up their ass because you want to prove so hard you're not a racist. Yep, the whole thing was done to get back at the Republican Party. Again, believe and support who you want, but I'm pretty sure we can all agree that this ain't the way to go. Reports started spreading that she actually raised more than $150,000 with her little stunt, but at the same time, she herself claims that she did indeed refund all of the money, which was actually closer to $200. How much was actually raised and how much was spent? Who knows? All I do know is that she wasn't honest in the beginning, so in my eyes she's not exactly a trustworthy individual now either, is she? Because shortly after she did post a screenshot of her latest iPhone purchase. What do you think, comment section? Go nuts! Okay, so this one's actually quite hilarious. A GoFundMe revenge story that I just simply couldn't not add to this list. Here we have Heather and Joe, a couple that have been together for approximately 20 years and during that time have parented 8 children. Too many dogs to count, a pig, a fish and a cat. It's like a domesticated zoo. Seriously, this is actually what's written on the front page of the GoFundMe campaign, guys. Now, it may seem that Heather and Joe have it all, quite literally, but it turns out that Joe wants more. Yep, according to that campaign that Heather's 2 friends had actually made up for her, Joe wasn't getting enough action from his relationship and decided to get some more with, and I quote, the neighborhood tart. Here's an artist's representation of what I imagine she looks like. So obviously they split up and life carried on. A year later, Heather had to get herself a new job. She continued to raise the kids herself. She's got a new tattoo. I don't know why that's important, but okay. And she was looking forward to finally giving herself a break with a holiday to Mexico. This was all explained in the description of the GoFundMe to give an understanding as to the kind of person that Heather is. A good, honest workaholic who is raising more animals and children than any of us would ever dream of raising. And it all goes on to explain that Heather isn't exactly the materialistic type, besides one rather expensive scarf. An official Burberry scarf that she always wore and she often let her daughters use as well. The problem was the scarf had gone missing. Not only had Joe given his bit on the side his 9th child, but he also gave her Heather's scarf. And that's why this campaign was set up in the first place. Not only to shame Joe, but to also get Heather a brand new Burberry scarf, retailing at around about $500. Because of the awesomeness of the campaign, not only did Heather get well over the asking price, but a personal message from her explained how she doesn't need a new scarf. It's just a thing. She's super happy with the support, but to make her truly happy, she would be donating all of the money to a charity instead, as that would be for the greater good. This blew up the campaign even more, and from what I can tell, she did just that. And the real icing on the cake is that someone outright bought her a brand new Burberry scarf anyway and shipped it over to her. Nice. This is Lennon Gutierrez, a young American who is rather into his dance, so much so that it's definitely taken over his life. He wanted to study dance and choreography, but to do so, he needed money. And you know, having something like a global pandemic hit the world was obviously not going to be helping too much either, was it? It's been a tough 2020 all year round, which is why he reluctantly did what he needed to do, as many people have also done, and got himself a job on the 21st of June that same year. And that job was working in a barista at a Starbucks in California. One day at his new job as the front barista, he saw a woman come up to him to order a beverage called Amber Lynn Gills, and she wasn't wearing a mask. According to his works policy for the time, face masks were a mandatory thing, and as requested by his work, he asked her if she had one and she flipped out. Now apparently she was not required to wear a mask for medical reasons, but according to a report from the barrister, the damage was already done. She went crazy, instantly took his picture and attempted to shame Lenin online, which you guessed it, just like last time, completely backfired. The story made national news, not only because it was one of the earlier cases of something like this happening, but also because a $1,000 GoFundMe was set up to tip the barista, who was just doing his job, and the campaign gained a shade over $100,000. All because he was doing what the company had asked of him, and believe what you want to believe, it's not his fault. Instead of attacking Starbucks, she attacked and tried to shame a young barista earning barely above minimum wage, and in the process managed to help him with all of his dance educational dreams, which he is now, according to reports, completely fulfilling. Now again, it is worth noting that it was in fact Lenin who claimed the woman had flipped out, and she is obviously completely denying this. Although what I will say after looking at her social media posts, she does seem to be the righteous type, constantly going into shops and causing the same kind of ruckus, getting police involved and even setting up mask bonfires to spread the word about not wearing them. Since this whole thing has blown up, her social media channels have become awash with people constantly ripping into every little political and mask wearing post that she makes, which just so happens to be every single post that she does make. And although the best thing would have been to just let it go and move on, she's now claiming that she wants at least half of that money raised, as it's her image that's been used to raise the money in the first place. All I can say is good luck, darling. 4 down and 1 to go. Yes, there is still one clip. I've added one at the end of this one, but it is a re-upload of an old video that I did, and it just technically works with this list quite well. I'm never going to be able to use it again. So yes, but before I do go ahead, I just want to give another massive shout out to all of the Patreons and YouTube members that do support this show. And if you guys like that last clip, then you're probably going to like the video that I've just put up live as an exclusive episode for all of the Patreons and YouTube members. Check those links down in the description if you guys want to join up. Anyway, let's get on to that final clip. None of us like construction projects on our street, right? They disrupt the barbecue, keep your kids up, and basically just make your street look like naff. Personally, I don't care too much. Thankfully, we live around neighbours that do all of these DIY projects, but they do them in a nice, timely manner, and therefore do not qualify for a good round of knockdown ginger. Oh, sorry, Americans watching? That's the British term for ding-dong ditch. Well, in a small little suburb of California, the Albrecht family were doing up their home. And although the pictures you see here are just for illustration purposes, a very small and humble Kickstarter explained that although it was a bit of a construction site as expected, it wasn't all that bad at all. And more importantly, it didn't last very long. However, I am taking their word as golden because later pictures actually look like they're the sort of family that look after their gardens. Oh, sorry, Americans watching, their yards. However, sadly, the family got fined $50 as an angry neighbour reported the do-over and turned them into the city for blight. In other words, he requested an investigation of public nuisance structures or conditions, graffiti environmental conditions of substandard buildings which are causing a blight upon the neighbourhood. It turns out that the main issue for the Albrecht family was that this power-hungry neighbourhood cop never went to them in the first place, but instead it went straight to the city, complained, and like I said, it lost them $50. So, in retaliation, they decided to go to Kickstarter of all places to fight back. The plan was to force the grumpy neighbours to just simply lighten up, and with the help of several other neighbours who obviously agreed that the blight accusation was a tad excessive, Tyler Albrecht decided to create Operation Flamingo, a campaign that for only $500 will give him just enough money to buy 200 of these plastic garden flamingo things to put all over his and agreeing neighbours' front gardens in different formations daily, in an attempt to wind up the miserable old sods that complained in the first place. The moody neighbours fought against him in his mini construction site, but they couldn't do anything in relation to pure tackiness. If you guys want to see a good example of a Kickstarter that is actually well looked after, albeit a little silly, then this is the one for you. Tyler personally thanked every single person that came and supported as they did, and even created a Facebook group for people that were interested in following up what he was up to. Sadly, not much has happened in over a year in the group, and I was able to get hold of Tyler himself, who did confirm that the point and reason for their being present has been made, and just like the flamingos themselves, the family have moved on. Apparently everyone in their old neighbourhood thought that they were great. Well, all except the neighbour who was the inspiration to the project in the first place. When I asked him if the neighbour knew it was all about them, he simply said he never heard back. However, he did get a couple of stink-eye looks. And honestly, that is it. All that's left is an incredible Facebook group for you to browse through and just look at how incredible this mugging off was. And let's just hope old Mr. George Wilson here actually cheered up. But let's be honest, nah, I doubt it. Time to get more flamingos, guys. Hey there guys, thanks for checking out the video. Yes, it's that part of the video that I like to give yet again another massive shout out to all of the Patreons and YouTube members that help make videos like these. If you guys want to support the show, there'll be links down below, but let's get straight into it and give a massive shout out to the following Patreons and YouTube members, with the extra big shout outs going to Aaron Gorman, Andrew Dalton, Andrew Ward, Arista, Aidan Wolf, Ben Jackson, Benjamin Guy, Big Rico, Bran Perez, Brandon Gold, C64 Television, Cheshire One, Chris the Rottweiler, Conrad Constantine, Cremilla, Dan Petit, David Yaron, Dina81, Dr. J, Expert in Moonology, Elf Daughter Crafts, Game Apologist, Gary Pinkett, Grody Grungus, Hut Intrigued Gaming, Jabba Al Aiden, Jacob P, aka Avalon James, Jeff Ladd, Jeff Mianowski, Jeremy Rodriguez, Jonathan Haywood, Kevin King, Kinglink Reviews, Lucas Softel, Lipped, Man of God 9000, Marcus Kingy Mocutle Tyndall, Mike Martin, Mr. Golden, Nicholas Burton, Nick Pollard, Nightwill, Papa Zane, Petty Mew, Pretendo64, Pretty with Horns, RetroReversing.com, Retro to Next Gen, aka Lou. I've lost it. Aka Lou, Richard Alderjig, Richard Carter, aka Fantastic Dizzy, RL Slane Friendly, competition at audible.com, Rocket Plod, Ronnie Method, SSWB, Rovan Army, Ryan Holtz, Sashi Dog, Samuel Nilsson, Shadow Dragon, Shadow Dial, Solix Captor, Stephen, Taylor Rainwater, That Gamer, The Cunning Linguist, The Shaded J, Tim Levante, Tim Lund, Todd Paul Float G, Trans Rights, Bike Echo, Wobbles and Bean, The Wonder Ducks, and Ye Old Hamburglar. Yes, I keep saying it guys, but if you guys want to support the show and get your name shown, get your name shouted out, see all of the exclusive Kickscammer episodes, be part of exclusive rooms in my Discord chat, see videos before they go live, and all of that awesome stuff, then please do click those links below and consider supporting the show. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you all next time.